News
Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Northern Steel Buildings. A 24-year-old Logan man and instructor at Utah State University has been arrested for allegedly sharing child pornography over the internet. Jack M. Flint was booked Wednesday afternoon into the Cache County Jail, where he is temporarily being held without bail pending formal charges. According to an arrest report on September 16th, Logan City police officers began investigating Flint after receiving a cyber tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. It described how the suspect allegedly used an internet site in which anonymous video and text chats can occur. The tip outlined a chat message apparently sent by Flint to another user. In it, he claimed to be a 17-year-old boy and invited the other individual to join a 14 to 18-year-old Snapchat group by sending a picture of his genitals. Police claimed the group was used by the suspect to exchange multiple images and videos of teenage boys. Chat logs of the user account showed many individuals identifying themselves as under the age of 18 and sending pornographic photos to Flint, according to the report. Flint is an employment specialist and instructor in the USU Employability Clinic at the Institute for Disability Research, Policy and Practice. They provide employment and pre-employment services to people with disabilities. He has been employed since July 2021. USU spokesperson Amanda Dorito said the university was aware of Flint's arrest. He has been instructed to not return to his work site at USU or visit any job sites. KVNU News Time is 4:07. KVNU weather for tonight. Mostly clear skies, overnight low in the low 30s, and then sunny around 61 on Friday. Partly sunny into the low 60s on Saturday. It's 59 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather is brought to you by Whole Tree Care. Hurry and get your trees trimmed before it snows. If you're still cleaning up from the October snowstorm, let Whole Tree Care help. Do you like working with your hands? Whole Tree Care is hiring. Call 435-760-6587.
Okay, Piggy. This time that steel building is coming down.
What you got there, Wolfie?
It's a tornado in a tube. How can that be? Your building's still standing. I'm blown away.
A building from Northern Steel Buildings will keep out the big bad wolf, and they don't break the piggy bank. Visit northernsteelbuilding.com to see their quality work or call 435-677-7300. Northern Steel Buildings. Value from concept to construction.
KVNU News Time is 4:08. The Interior Department on Thursday issued draft guidelines for a new conservation corps that will allow Native youth to work on projects that benefit their own communities. The department scheduled a series of consultations to get feedback on the guidelines from Native American tribes, Alaska Native corporations, and Native Hawaiians. The Indian Youth Service Corps was created through a bill that modernized the broader Conservation Corps in 2019. The Interior Department was tasked with coming up with the guidelines on how it will be implemented. Interior Secretary Deb Haaland says the program could transform the lives of indigenous youth across the country. And an Idaho company that successfully brought genetically modified potatoes to the market has announced an agreement to help a California-based plant breeding company grow strawberries they say will stay fresh longer and have a longer growing season. J.R. Simplot Company and Plant Sciences Incorporated said today they expect to launch the first commercially available gene-edited strawberries within a few years. U.S. growers produced $2.2 billion in strawberries in 2020, but consumers discarded an estimated 35% of the crop due to spoilage. The two privately held companies say genetically modified strawberries will help reduce waste and make them available to consumers much of the year. KVNU News Time is 4:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Where news and talk comes first. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
This is D. Jones, candidate for Logan City Mayor. Let's talk about your right to vote. Opportunity comes with freedom, but so does responsibility. Ballots have been mailed out. Use your voice and vote to change the culture of Logan City government. We can make a difference and put local government back into the hands of the citizens. Make your choices. Use the envelope provided. You don't need a stamp. Just put your ballot back in the mailbox or in one of the ballot drop boxes around town. I'm asking for your vote. Community first. Your vote matters.
Paid for by the committee to elect D. Jones as Logan City Mayor.
Logan Dental Associates has been serving Cache Valley for over 20 years. They are excited to announce the addition of Dr. Brandon Preby, hygienist Emily Preby, and Dr. Curtis Taylor. Dr. Preby and Dr. Taylor will also continue to work at Cherry Creek Dental in Richmond. Now allow for increased hours and advanced services at Logan Dental Associates in Logan. Call and make your appointment with Dr. Brandon Preby or Dr. Curtis Taylor at Logan Dental Associates by calling 435-787-8207.
What are you going to be for Halloween? Yes, everyone loves to dress up for Halloween. Even some of your favorite Johnny O Spud Nuts are in disguise. Pick out your favorite spooky Spud Nuts and creepy creature creations made fresh every day. Johnny O's. Take a dozen spooky Spud Nuts to your Halloween party or ghostly gathering. Johnny O's Spud Nuts, our favorite Transylvania tree. Johnny O's
Spud Nuts.
This is Detective Johnson from the Logan City Police Department. Scams in our community are on the rise and innocent victims are losing thousands of dollars. These scams are coming in the form of phony phone calls claiming to be from government organizations or legitimate businesses. They are also circulating on social media and emails. Almost all of these scams are asking for payment through gift cards that are almost impossible to track. No legitimate business or organization uses gift cards as currency. If you receive a scam of this nature, do not give the scammers any information and immediately call police. Remember, pause, stop, call a cop.
Kids' lives have been put on hold. Getting them thriving again safely starts with protecting them from COVID-19 and dangerous new variants. Get the latest facts by speaking to your pediatrician or healthcare provider, or by visiting getvaccineanswers.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the American Academy of Pediatrics.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party, meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It's a beautiful Thursday afternoon, October 28th. I'm Jason Williams, Bill Walter here in the studio as well. Charlie Schill of CashValleyDaily.com joining us for our weekly look into the world of arts and entertainment, specifically focusing on theater and things you can get out and do this weekend, next weekend, the one after that. And Charlie, I've been really into starting the show talking about the weather lately because I kind of get excited at how different it is here in Utah day to day. It can be 30 degrees and almost snow, very winter-like conditions, winter watches and warnings in canyons around us. And then 24 hours later, it can be this, where, I was driving around today with my window cracked and no jacket on. It's beautiful out there. So to those who are lucky enough to be outside or have a nice view of the outside, enjoy it. For the rest of us, we've got Charlie.
You know what they say. If you don't like the weather, wait 15 minutes. It'll change.
That's right. I joke that I have to, my job requires me to be mobile and going around to a bunch of different places. Well, not the last couple of years as much, but due to the pandemic. But normally I'm doing a lot of driving, stopping, and visiting and all of that, and I have to leave the house with 3 sets of clothes, just in case, to stay comfortable. Sometimes I need a pair of shorts and flip-flops, and then you get some long pants and a jacket just in case, and then in the trunk, always a winter coat and a hat, just in case.
But only flip-flops, right?
That's right.
As far as shoe apparel.
You've got to be hopelessly optimistic this time of year to be thinking about shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah, I did finally. I gave in, and I finally put the shorts and sandals and flip-flops away for the year. A little cool out there for that, but yeah, again, nice to have the window down, not all the way down, but cracked about 3 inches, and no jacket while I was driving to the station today. Just beautiful out there. And Charlie, it has been. I was having a conversation with a friend in between our last visit last Thursday, who said that they'd been listening to this hour, and they talked about how excited they'd gotten about arts and entertainment, and they'd asked a question that really, I guess, is more of a public policy question than what we normally talk about here on the show. But listeners said, do the arts get the support they deserve from the state and the cities and the counties, in Charlie's opinion? Charlie is an appreciator of the arts. I feel they get a lot of support. I don't know what the right amount is of support.
Well, there's never enough, okay?
Sure, I guess that's a better way to put it.
Everybody wants more.
Yeah, and they'd spend anything given, right?
Of course.
And well, they'd spend it well. But
yeah. The people at Utah Festival Opera, whenever it comes around to the county government handing out the money from the restaurant and the wraps tax.
Oh, yeah.
Always feel like they've been shortchanged.
Sure.
They say that if their operation was located in Salt Lake City, they'd be a line item on the city budget to the tune of $5 or $6 million.
Wow.
And they certainly aren't that here.
Sure.
They squabble every year about $300,000 here and $50,000 there, and certainly they do an amazing job. All of our arts people do an amazing job with what they've got available.
Oh, sure.
Would they like more? You bet.
Sure.
Who wouldn't?
That's. I'm of those two minds myself. I think, what they do with what they have, both what they raise on their own, what they're getting from RAPS, what Logan City, in the last administration, I think it was, stepped up to help the Festival Opera out in a big way, and so they get a lot in that respect, but it's not as much as many people probably think they should be getting in public funds. But what they do with what they get is pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of credit goes to those who... Celeste, I thought of her and what they do. I know that they have... there at Theater West have done some amazing things over the years with shoestring budgets.
Yeah.
And they've taken some risks that didn't pay off and really hurt them one year financially, and yet they've taken other risks that could have played out the same way, and it's really brought something unique to the Valley for a season.
Well, and I think that now is a great time to invest in the arts.
Sure.
Because people are just off the wall crazy wanting to see live theater. Let me give you an example. Another installment of the poor Davis clan get no respect and no audience for their shows. Not. They started selling tickets for their Christmas show.
Oh, okay.
Monday at 10 o'clock. Yesterday afternoon, they announced that they are so basically sold out that they've added 2 new performances in Salt Lake and 1 additional performance here.
Wow.
their website is just buried. If you want to see Once Upon a North Pole Christmas at the Eccles Theater here in Logan, you better get on their website fast because it's selling like hotcakes.
Interesting, really. And they didn't even really push that. There wasn't a huge PR campaign around that.
Bang.
That is very cool.
Hi, we're going to start selling tickets at 10 o'clock, and at 10:30, you're looking at there ain't a seat in the house.
That is very cool.
Yeah, it is.
This is that's a great example of what is it the pandemic? Is it just
to a large extent?
You think that's been part of it?
People want to get out and sit in theaters and see live shows.
That makes sense.
Even the Moth, which the last Thursday, which we were concerned about the pandemic restrictions, masks and showing your vaccination card or a test. We were concerned that would be an obstacle to them drawing an audience. They had about 800 people in the theater, and the people from Cash Arts are just old hands at this. We were concerned that the double checking the COVID restrictions would hold down attendance, would be a block to people getting into the theater. No way. They were handling double checking for COVID symptoms last summer when they were doing the Random Acts shows. And this show went even faster.
Wow.
It was a little awkward to be sitting there wearing a mask through the entire performance. Because, believe me, I hate masks, and most people do.
Sure. Especially for that long.
Yeah.
A 2 or 3 hour performance.
Well, it was to about 2 hours, yeah. But there were no complaints. Everybody filed in and out rapidly. It just worked.
That is, it's exciting to think about, and then it brings us back full circle to where we started. The plethora of choices that you have on any given weekend or week evening. This is something unique to Cache Valley that every area doesn't enjoy. And I always feel bad for those folks in like Davis County. They've got no matter what, they've got a 34-minute drive to something, and we don't. You can you can catch something on your way home from work if you wanted to. Most nights in Cache Valley. 753-5868 if you want to join us. Charlie Schill of CacheValleyDaily.com here in the studio with us this hour, talking theater in Cache Valley. What's coming, what you should get out and see, what's worth your time, what maybe isn't. You can also read Charlie's reviews as well as news stories at CacheValleyDaily.com each and every day. And we'll be back with more For the People right after this.
Hi, this is Drew Allen with Allen Mortuaries. Over the years, thousands of families have planned ahead with Allen Mortuaries. Planning ahead helps you make informed and thoughtful decisions. It also spares your family the stress of making these decisions under the pressure of time and strong emotions. Allen Mortuaries' secure pre-need trust plan can save you nearly 40% versus other plans. Keep it simple, safe, and secure. Go with the proven choice, Allen Mortuaries. Voted best funeral home in Cache Valley in northern Utah. Allen Mortuaries. Then, now, always.
Witches, ghosts, and goblins, it's time for you to play. It's Anderson Seed and Gardens Witches Night Out, Saturday, October 30th from 4 to 8 p.m. It's the annual holiday unveiling event. They'll have the store converted to Christmas. Come set your eyes on amazingly decorated Christmas trees and more. Come snatch up once-a-year holiday sale items. Mark your calendar and join them for a fun evening. Witches Night Out at Anderson Seed and Garden, Logan.
Attention homeowners! You may have noticed the ground shift after your foundation has been poured, causing your house to sink or settle. Protect your investment from issues before they happen. Polylift Concrete Raising and Piering will stabilize, lift, and eliminate further settling by using Magnum Piering products to save you big money down the road. Polylift Concrete Raising and Piering are the foundation lifting experts. Visit poly-lift.com to schedule your free assessment or call or text 435-999-9309. Polylift is locally owned and operated.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. I'm Jason Williams, joined in the studio by Charlie Schill of CashValleyDaily.com. He's here every Thursday at 4 o'clock to talk theater in Cache Valley with us, and you're welcome to join us, 753-5868. Last week, Charlie, we talked about Julius Caesar, right? And then there was one other thing. Now I'm forgetting. My memory's toast. But I know we also talked about the fact that you were headed to the Moth that night, and we were curious how this would play out. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. And that we're headed into the holiday season already with productions. So, I'll shut up and get out of your way at this point.
Okay, well... We were thinking that the Moth would be kind of an acquired taste.
Sure.
And there's nothing terribly dramatic about it. You've got a person standing in the middle of the stage with a spotlight on them and just talking, and no notes. Not exactly extemporaneous. They've obviously rehearsed these stories.
Sure.
The show was introduced by a guy named John Good, who is a member of the Moth himself, and he was a very he warmed up the crowd, got you ready for what was coming, and what was coming was 5 speakers, all more or less imports. We didn't end up with a local person getting the call to be one of the storytellers. We did had a fellow from Salt Lake named George Sumner, who told a story about how the shirt that he wore in Vietnam as a soldier ended up in the Smithsonian Institution on display by accident.
Really?
He went to the opening of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial years ago in Washington, D.C., and like a lot of former soldiers, he went there wearing his fatigue jacket, his shirt, with his name tag on it and all the decorations and things, and he noticed other people leaving their shirts there, or their hats, a memento of their service, and he left his there. Years later, he's going through the Smithsonian with his wife on another visit to Washington, and there's his shirt on display with other mementos of the war that were left at the wall.
That is interesting.
Very interesting.
That is very... So this is the type of... That's an example of what the Moth is all about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting up and storytelling.
Slice of life stories.
Okay.
There was a young man named Alistair Bain, who is a member of the Shawnee Nation, who told a ghost story.
Oh, really? Good timing.
There's a guy named Justin Hawkins. Justin told the story about his trials and tribulations learning to swim at the ripe old age of 33.
Wow.
With a bunch of kids as his classmates.
And the kids are showing you up. That'd be awkward.
And there was a woman named Carolyn Moyer She told a story about, as a widow, entering the online dating scene at age 80.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And
she didn't find true love. What she found is a very clever guy working the other end of the computer who tried to con her out of $50,000.
Wow.
And apparently that goes on a lot.
Wow. Boy, I'd be angry.
Yes. But she's still out there.
Really?
Playing the game on the computer.
I get back on the horse, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
This is very cool. I'm intrigued now. So now for listeners, The Moth is a podcast you can subscribe to, and you get a new episode once a month or something like that?
It's once a week.
Is it once a week?
It's I think mid-morning Friday on Utah Public Radio.
They air it each day?
Yeah.
Or each episode?
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I may have to subscribe and check this out. I didn't catch the actual live performance, but was it crowded? Was the theater pretty full?
It was pretty full. They sold just shy of 800 tickets, as far as I know. And that's an 1,100-seat theater.
I guess that kind of answers my question. Is there an audience for this in Cache Valley?
I suspect there's an audience for almost any live performance in Cache Valley.
Sure.
Because people are so tired of being homebound.
And the movies aren't exactly enticing you into those theaters.
Well, and half of the movies are available on the your smart television set with all the with all the providers.
Yeah, tomorrow on the movie show, we'll be talking with Andy about Dune, the big movie that opened. But for a week now, everyone's been able to watch that on HBO Max at home.
Yeah.
You can't do that with theater.
Yeah, well.
Not yet.
Dune is pretty... I don't know if anybody is ever going to do a really good version of Dune.
I was thinking about that. I love the book. I've never liked... anything anybody's attempted.
Did you see the mini series?
That is my favorite.
That one wasn't bad.
Yeah, that was if I had to pick one, the Sci-Fi Channel miniseries was probably the closest to good.
The one with years ago in the 80s.
All I remember is Sting.
Yes,
Sting's in it.
Sting was one of the bad guys.
Yeah,
Sean Young was the love interest of who played. Paul. God.
He's actually a theater guy, wasn't he?
Kyle, somebody or other.
I'll Google as fast as I can here. It was, all I remember, 1984. It was right after, Return of the Jedi. I was that age. My parents, or my mom, dropped me and a friend off thinking we were headed to another Star Wars type movie. Oh, were we bored. We were so bored. When the projector broke and they said we'd have to come back to see the last third of the film, we didn't. It is Kyle MacLachlan.
Yes. Okay.
I had to go to IMDb for that.
From Twin Peaks.
Oh, yes. I didn't even make that connection before.
Yeah.
That is, man, Charlie.
See the one that said darn good cup of coffee or something in that series.
I have a tough time remembering Twin Peaks. It was underwhelming too.
It got weird.
Okay, we're not allowed to pick on movies and television.
Yeah, okay, no more of that. But we will get back to, well, not picking on, but picking through theater. There are some things coming up. There are some things you can get out and see. There's a lot going on, actually, despite the transition from summer to fall to now the holiday theater season already upon us. Charlie Schill, our guest here in the studio from CacheValleyDaily.com. You can read Charlie's work, both news stories and theater reviews, every week, every day at CacheValleyDaily.com. Please do so. But he's gracious enough to give us an hour of his time here in the studio each week at 4 o'clock on Thursdays. If you have a comment, a question, a review even of your own, something you've seen in theaters, the real theaters, not the movie theaters, give us a call, 753-5868. We'll be back after the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:34, and the news is brought to you by U&I Furniture. The Utah County Commission is asking the Utah State Legislature to repeal and replace the death penalty, saying it doesn't actually deliver justice. In a discussion usually heard in the courtroom, the commission room Wednesday was filled with talk of taking the death penalty off the table. Utah County Commissioner Amelia Powers Gardner said that as a county, it's difficult to prosecute. She brought up how Utah County has only had 4 death penalty cases in its history, and only 2 have gone to the death penalty, with just one of those people being executed. The resolution also touches upon the possibility that someone is wrongfully sentenced to death and later exonerated. At the very end, it asks the Utah legislature to remove the option from state law and replace it with alternative measures. The move comes after Utah County Attorney David Levitt recently announced he will no longer seek the death penalty in future cases. Levitt spoke at Wednesday's commission meeting, saying the death penalty is commonly used by prosecutors as more of a leverage point to persuade people to plead guilty. He added that seeking the death penalty takes an incredible amount of time and resources, taking away from the numerous other murder cases his office is trying to bring to justice. A few dozen people were protesting vaccine mandates outside Hill Air Force Base this morning. Fox 13 reports some say they were civilian employees at the base, while others said they were contract workers. Some said they were there to protest the vaccine mandate in general and President Biden specifically. The few dozen individuals began gathering a little before 7 a.m. at the corner of 5600 South and Freeway Park Drive in Roy. Some of those opposed to the vaccine mandate are employees of Northrop Grumman, a federal contractor of the U.S. government with offices at the base. Active duty personnel need to be fully vaccinated against COVID by Tuesday. Air National Guard and Air Force Reserve personnel have a December 2nd deadline. There have been vaccine clinics at Hill Air Force Base for months leading up to this. The Secretary of the Air Force said airmen and guardians must be able to respond to situations around the globe. Being fully vaccinated will help them safely meet the readiness requirements that national security depends on. Air Force Magazine reports that nearly 95% of active duty Air Force members are vaccinated. And high school football happening tomorrow. Skyview kicks off at Dixie in southern Utah at 4 p.m. That game can be seen on CashValleyDaily.com and also heard on 106.9 The Fan. Ridgeline hosts Logan in a Region 11 rematch at 5 p.m. That game can be seen at CashValleyDaily.com and also heard on 104.5 The Ranch and right here on KVNU tomorrow afternoon. And Green Canyon is hosting Crimson Cliffs at 6 p.m. That game also video streamed at CashValleyDaily.com. You can listen to the game on Light FM 100.9. Other playoffs, Box Elder is at Timpanogos in the Utah 5A football playoffs. Preston is at Shelley at 7 in the Idaho 4A football playoffs. And Bear Lake is hosting Coal Valley in the 2A Idaho football playoffs at 1 o'clock on Saturday. KBNU News Time is 4:38.
As you've noticed, the season has changed, and the holidays are coming, and so are your guests. You need beds for them to sleep in and a new couch to sit on. Well, with family and friends coming, U&I Furniture is the place to help you be ready. Find the popular-selling queen-size therapeutic mattress for only $3.99. Or here's an idea. Move the bed you're sleeping on to the guest room and upgrade your mattress. See all the chairs, too, at U&I's Chair Heaven. Accent chairs, lift chairs, and, of course, recliners. There's always a better buy at U&I Furniture in downtown Logan.
KVNU weather for tonight, mostly clear, low in the low 30s, and then sunny around 61 tomorrow. Partly sunny into the low 60s on Saturday. It's been to 59. It's 58 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. Bring back the sounds you've been missing. Schedule a free hearing evaluation with Dr. Paul Daines at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Ted Karen with Edward Jones Investments in Smithfield, bringing you the daily financial market report for Thursday, October 28th. Stocks rose on Thursday, supported by robust corporate earnings. The S&P 500 closed up 44 to a new all-time high of 4,596. The Nasdaq closed up 212, also to a new all-time high at 15,448. The Dow finished up 240 to close at 35,730, which is just under its record close on Tuesday. About a third of the S&P 500 companies are reporting earnings and projections this week. And from results so far, corporate profitability has been resilient despite cost pressures. After Wednesday's sizable drop, the 10-year yield rose to 1.57% on Treasuries. Crude oil was up 0.5% to $83 a barrel, and gold was up $1 to $1,800 an ounce. Economic data was mixed as initial jobless claims fell to a new post-pandemic low, but the first estimate for third quarter GDP growth released showed that the U.S. economy slowed considerably last quarter as supply chain disruptions and a late summer surge in COVID-19 cases held back spending and investment. The economy grew at a 2% annual rate following a nearly 7% pace in the second quarter. Consumer spending was a bit stronger than expected, but grew at a meager 2% pace after a 12% jump last quarter. This data is a reflection, in our view, of the severe shortages and bottlenecks that are limiting how fast the economy can normalize and are driving prices higher. We think that the economy will re-accelerate next year as consumption is just delayed rather than lost. This has been today's financial market report brought to you by Ted Karen and Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term financial advice. If you'd like additional information, please visit our website at edwardjones.com or contact any of the 7 advisors in Cache Valley in Providence, Logan, and Smithfield.
Charles is dying from COVID-19, not because he has the disease, but because he has to travel 95 miles in an ambulance to the nearest open ICU bed. Yes, his local ICU was just minutes away, but it's full of COVID patients, nearly all of whom haven't been vaccinated. So, if you think you're not hurting anyone by skipping the vaccine, think again. Please, get vaccinated. Find a location at coronavirus.utah.gov.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Friday on This Morning, America's First News. As Democrats scramble to find ways to pay for their giant spending proposals, what is a billionaire's tax or a surtax on the super rich, and how would it work? Also, how the housing crisis and labor shortage are connected. Should San Francisco be more like Columbus? And what it's like to be a vaccine bouncer at an invite-only event. Friday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
All right, dads, let's test your knowledge. Ready? What does this sound? Some of the more experienced parents recognize it as the sound a young teenager makes when he's done something he regrets. Listen. Kind of a sad sound, isn't it? But if you recognized it, then you know exactly what to do. Listen, because that's when together you can both figure out how not to make the same mistake again.
This message from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Charlie Schill in the studio with us, talking theater in Cache Valley. We did have a caller attempt twice to get through to us, I assume to join the show. If you're out there listening and that was you, try again. Every time I would pick up, it was just a dial tone. So give us a call back, 753-5868, if you've got a comment, a question, your own review of something you've seen. And Charlie has been talking to us about the Moth. It happened in Cache Valley last Thursday. It was kind of a new thing for the Valley, so we were both very curious if there was an audience for this. Theater was pretty full, and it was unique, at least, it sounds like, to see this live recording of a podcast, basically, is what these tours are. And I know, there have been a lot of these in Salt Lake over the last few years, and they've been, well attended, but I was very curious how this would play out in Cache Valley.
Just before the pandemic hit, they did a live show in Salt Lake City of a show called Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Oh, yeah.
And
a live recording of that.
Yeah, that show plays on UPR Saturday mornings, and it was very interesting. It was fun to watch.
It's kind of it's a weird thing to think about because you're watching the recording of a podcast that you can just subscribe to and download, but you're buying a ticket to be there in person, and people are like, what? That doesn't make sense. But I remind people all the time, the game show industry that it, hit its heyday in the 80s and 90s. This was huge. People fought over Price is Right tickets, and you're basically paying like you would to go to the theater for a ticket and a seat to watch the filming of an episode of.
But these people.
Let's Make a Deal, or
these people who attend those shows are a captive audience. I mean,
sure,
they've listened to the thing on NPR and UPR for years.
So they're already
know exactly
fans.
What's going on. They're fans.
Seems like an easy audience for the performers.
Yeah, probably.
Whereas, with a traditional theater production, you've got, I guess that still happens. Like Sound of Music, I would guess most people there in the seats were fans of Sound of Music.
I've seen it before.
And are there, intentionally. But this is something I wish would happen here in Cache Valley. I wish that there was like a season pass kind of thing where you could buy, and I don't know how it would work because we have so many, as we've discussed, so many different production companies and all that. But I wish there was some sort of season pass you could buy where you could literally just go to any show that had seats left if you were early enough and just experiment, just try some things. Because there are always a few things I've never... USU's theater lineup, other than Julius Caesar, I've seen none of this before.
No.
And I'm excited about that.
They have a tendency to do more contemporary shows, more modern shows, things that have been written in the last 10 years or so. And they also go for, and it doesn't happen all the time.
Sure.
It didn't happen with Julius Caesar, and it didn't happen with Pericles last year, or the year before. I don't remember exactly what we're talking about anymore. But they tend to go for shows where having young performers is an advantage.
Sure.
Things like She Kills Monsters.
Oh, yeah.
That were played just before the pandemic.
Literally.
And also title of show. Those are shows where a 70-year-old guy or a 40-year-old woman doesn't fit the storyline.
Yeah.
They go for these shows where younger people are comfortable and are thematic.
That makes sense.
And it does.
It's interesting to think about it in that perspective because, obviously that's their talent pool is going to be younger there, but I'd never really realized that they make that a part of the plan and go for that's interesting.
It's just common sense.
It doesn't. That makes a lot of sense, and it explains a lot of the lineup from year to year. But I like the opportunity to go see something I've never seen before. I plan to even try and catch the final installment next late spring, early summer, late spring. I guess it would be the Dolly Parton thing
9 to 5,
9 to 5 that they're closing things out with, and so I generally try not to say no to anything. A while back, my mom and my sister wanted to go see. They were big fans, and they wanted to go see Steel Magnolias, and I'd seen the movie probably more than once. Shirley MacLaine's
that movie is a marvelous adaptation.
Yeah, and Shirley MacLaine's character in that movie, I don't know why it makes me laugh so hard every time I see it. And yet it's got this tragic story too, and Dolly Parton's character is great.
And all the male characters.
Yeah.
And all of the events around the wedding and all that kind of stuff that are beautiful in that movie are all completely developed for the film version.
Sure.
Because there's none of them in the actual play.
That's what surprised me, and that was my big takeaway, that when I saw the play after years of knowing the movie,
it feels claustrophobic.
Yeah, it's literally this tiny little. There's one set. Everything happens within the beauty parlor, and 4 people involved. I think
there's 5.
5 maybe. But just this tiny production of this story that I'd always known as this big multi-million-dollar movie with Sally Field and Dolly Parton and Julia Roberts, and then here's this little tiny production, something that could be done at Pickleville, and that was really, I thought that was great to have that experience.
Pickleville would never do a show that somber.
No, no, it's kind of downer.
Yeah, it is
towards the end, but yeah, it's that's why I always tell people, go see anything. You'll find, something to like that will make you not regret spending the money, and that's always an opportunity. Speaking of an opportunity, we should take our last break, but it's so Halloween this weekend, and there's some pretty big plans in downtown.
Downtown Logan Hocus Pocus Witches Dance and Halloween Festival.
It's a long name.
That's a mouthful.
It's a long title, which I assume they meant intentionally. We'll talk about it, though, what you can get out and do this Saturday in downtown Logan. It's a whole day of events involving the theaters, the streets, the stores, and more.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a ball. Really.
I think it's a unique plan. I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Only the weather holds.
Yeah, it's supposed to be nice. Fingers crossed. Bill kind of glanced at us when we said that. He knows something we don't.
What, this weekend?
Yeah.
Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday's supposed to be nice. Sunday, chance of rain.
That's on the trick-or-treaters. They'll survive. They're young. We'll be back right after this.
NMLS 1817019.
Want the lowest mortgage rate? Don't go to a bank or credit union. LendRight Mortgage's rates are often at least 0.25% lower than other lenders. Listen to these Google reviews from very happy clients. Mary, I did my due diligence and compared 3 other companies, and none of them could compete with the rates offered by LendRight Mortgage. David, LendRight had the best rate we could find, and we shopped pretty heavily. Megan, they got me a great interest rate, much lower than competitors. Landon, from start to finish, they were great. Other companies couldn't touch their rates. Ron, on top of the superior service, I also got a 1.75% rate. Wow. This is why we confidently offer a $1,000 lowest rate guarantee. Rates in the ones will soon be gone. Call 801-APPROVE or visit lendrightmortgage.com.
When it's Aggie game time, be ready with new Aggie logoed gear from Locker 42. Say aloha as the Aggies host Hawaii in a Saturday 1 p.m. kickoff. With temperatures in the upper 50s, you'll look good and be comfortable in a new Aggie jacket or Aggie hoodie. And nobody stocks and sells more Aggie hats than Locker 42. They have a wall full to choose from. Locker 42 always has you ready for game day. Locker 42 at 1430 North Main next to Little Caesars and the flagship store in downtown Logan.
This election, vote Keegan for Logan. With support from county and state leaders, Keegan Garrity understands the importance of working together while considering all perspectives. Keegan believes that by following smart growth principles, we can keep the city downtown while preserving the open spaces we love. Keegan is willing to engage with anybody, including those with opposing viewpoints. He's the type of guy you could share a Diet Coke with. Vote Keegan, a voice for the people. Paid for by the committee to elect Keegan Garrity.
Well, the leaves are changing, fall is in full swing, and so are the great deals on Ram trucks at Heritage. During Ram Power Days, check out 0% financing for 72 months, available on all new Ram models. Experience for yourself why Ram is the #1 brand loyalty. And right now, we've got discounts up to $5,000 off on Ram, the most awarded light truck in America. Come see why Heritage is the hometown dealer with the biggest deals in Logan, Tremont, and Brigham City.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Halloween, just a few days away, and speaking of theater, arts, and entertainment, that always brings us to downtown Logan. That's where a lot of this takes place, and there's a pretty big day-long Halloween celebration planned for Saturday in downtown. Downtown, I won't even try the title again.
The Downtown Logan Hocus Pocus Witches Dance and Halloween Festival.
So now the festival part is right on, because this is a whole day of stuff.
Yeah, and the high point will be the Witches Dance, which is nothing new. That's been going on here for years and years and years.
It's a Valley favorite.
Used to be held 3 or 4 blocks west of downtown on Center Street.
Oh, yeah.
They would block off Center Street. The witches, 70 or 80 of them, all dressed to the nines, would get out in the street and parade and dance. That would last for 4 or 5 minutes. Then they'd pull back and traffic would be allowed to go through again. And they'd do that 3 or 4 times during the evening of either Halloween or a date close to Halloween, as we're doing this year.
One of my favorite parts about that, too, are seeing the, mostly on Facebook these days, the photos of people I know, people in Valley politics, people from the university, people in the nonprofit world, and seeing how much effort they put into their costumes for this.
Perfect makeup. The costumes are all, I don't know how they do it, but they're almost all unique. And one of the real competitions in this thing is who can make the best broomstick. And the broomstick has got to be decorated. Most of them have lights built in.
I've seen some elaborate.
Yep.
Gas-powered.
Yep.
That is...
And it's going to be great to have it in the downtown area, because they're going to seal off both ends of Center Street between Main and First West.
And not just for the dance, right? This is...
Oh, people will be wandering
for the
all
entire
over.
day.
Yeah.
And that's... the first time I've seen them do that, I've been an advocate of them doing this for years, but they did it during the Latino Heritage Festival a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing to see all those people just out in the street with Center Street closed at both ends. I hope they keep doing this for events.
I think they will. There's going to be a treat walk for the kids all day long, where they can harass business owners and get goodies. Then there's going to be a costume contest and a decorated pumpkin contest. There'll be live music for a couple hours. And then the witches will dance at about 6:30, 7:30. And finally, there'll be horror movies at the Utah Theater.
I'm excited about this. So I learned about this from your story at CatchValleyDaily.com. And for listeners, I've linked to that on our Facebook page if you'd like to read this. But three movies planned starting...
At 7 p.m.
7 p.m. is the first.
Silent movie Nosferatu.
A classic.
Followed up by Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds.
That's right. His only actual horror movie.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a horror movie.
Or as close as they got at the time.
As close as they got, yeah.
That's right.
And at midnight, they're going to do Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Which is brave, because I saw in your story they are inviting audience participation. And that's a risk.
Which is going to result in a big mess. But anyway.
This Rocky Horror Picture Show is what led to USU finally shutting the doors on the student theater there at the end of the Student Center. They did Rocky Horror Picture Show on Halloween, and it took them days to clean up the hot dogs and the toilet paper and the shaving cream. It was rice. It was awful. And that's at midnight. That closes everything out at midnight, right?
Yep.
At the Utah Theater. That is... So the Downtown Logan Hocus Pocus Witches Dance Day-Long Festival kicks off Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and goes until midnight. Well, technically 2 in the morning.
Yeah, the activities really, the scheduled activities run from 4 to 8.
4 to 8's the main
and then
time.
over the switch over to the theater.
Okay. Very nice. That is downtown this Saturday, Halloween celebration, day-long festival. Charlie, appreciate your time. For listeners, stay tuned. A lawmaker unveiling some